Imagine standing by the Sea of Galilee. The air is warm, the water glistens, and a crowd presses in, eager to hear what the rabbi from Nazareth will say. And he begins to tell stories, simple, vivid stories. But they are more than just stories, they are windows into the kingdom of heaven. And in the middle of it all, Jesus gives a key, a single phrase that unlocks the meaning of everything else he says that day. The field is the world, he says in Matthew 13 and verse 38. Now, if we miss this key, we will shrink the kingdom down to our size. But if we grasp it, the kingdom expands to God's size, vast, global, and unstoppable. Now, Matthew 13 is sometimes called the parable chapter. 7 parables, one after the other, with a short break in the middle where Jesus explains 2 of them. But Matthew gives us clues that this isn't just a random collection of teachings. See, verse 3 says, "Then he told them many things in parables," a deliberate, connected sequence. Now, these parables are not disconnected pearls. They are beads on the same string, threaded together by the key, which is the field is the world. In the parable of the wheat and the weeds, Jesus is asked to explain the meanings. Now, he could have just said, the good seed are righteous people and the bad seed are wicked people. But before that, he says, he defines the setting. The field is the world. Now, this matters because many in his audience saw God's kingdom as something local, tied to the land of Israel. But Jesus' kingdom vision stretched far beyond borders and centuries. Let's walk through the 7 parables and see how they build on each other. Remember, all of them are happening in the field, and the field is the world. So, the sower of Matthew 13, 3-8. A farmer went out to sow his seed, and as he was sowing, some seed fell along the path, and the birds came and devoured it. Some fell on rocky ground, where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly because the soil was shallow. But when the sun rose, the seedlings were scorched, and they withered because they had no root. Other seed fell among thorns, which grew up and choked the seedlings. Still other seed fell upon good soil and produced a crop, 100-fold, 60-fold, or 30. He who has ears, let him hear. You see, the message of the kingdom is spread everywhere, but not every heart receives it. And Jesus explains why. See in Matthew 13, 18 through to 23. Consider then the parable of the sower. When anyone hears the message of the kingdom but does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches away what was sown in his heart. This is the seed sown along the path. The seed sown on rocky ground is the one who hears the word and at once receives it with joy. But since he has no root, he remains only for a season. When trouble or persecution comes because of the word, he quickly falls away. The seed sown among the thorns is the one who hears the word, but the worries of this life and the deceitfulness of wealth choke the word, and it becomes unfruitful. But the seed sown on good soil is the one who hears the word and understands it. He indeed bears fruit and produces a crop, 100-fold, 60-fold, or 30-fold. And here's a point of self-reflection. to more fully understand what's coming. So, the wheat and the weeds, Matthew 13:24-13. We read, "The kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seed in his field. But while everyone was asleep, his enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat and slipped away. When the wheat sprouted and bore grain, then the weeds also appeared. The owner's servant came to him and said, 'Sir, didn't you sow good seed in your field? Where then did the weeds come from?' 'An enemy did this,' he replied. So the servants asked him, 'Do you want us to go and pull them up?' 'No,' he said. 'If you pull the weeds now, you might uproot the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And at that time I will tell the harvesters, first collect the weeds and tie them into bundles to be burned. Then gather the wheat into my barn.' See, good and evil grow side by side in the world until the final harvest. Next one, the mustard seed, verses 31 and 32. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed that a man took and planted in his field. Although it is the smallest of the seeds, yet it grows into the largest of garden plants and becomes a tree, so that the birds of the air come and nest in its branches. What starts small grows large enough to welcome in the nations. The next one, the yeast, verse 33. He told them still another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like leaven that a woman took and mixed into 3 measures of flour until all of it was leavened. See, the kingdom works invisibly, changing everything it touches. The next one, hidden treasure, verse 44. The kingdom of heaven is like the treasure hidden in a field. When a man found it, he hid it again, and in his joy he went and sold all he had and bought that field. See, the kingdom is worth giving up everything to obtain. Next one, the pearl of great price, verses 45 and 46. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant in search of fine pearls. When he found one very precious pearl, he went away and sold all he had and bought it. See, its value is beyond comparison. It's worth total commitment. Then finally, the net, verses 47 through to 51. Once again, the kingdom of heaven is like a net that was cast into the sea and caught all kinds of fish. When it was full, the men pulled it ashore. Then they sat down and sorted the good fish into containers, but threw the bad away. So it will be at the end of the age. The angels will come and separate the wicked from the righteous and throw them into the fiery furnace, where there will be weeping and a gnashing of teeth. Have you understood all these things? See, at the end of the age, all are gathered and the sorting then takes place. You might think the field is the world. Well, it's just a random translation choice. No, but even in the medieval Hebrew version of Matthew, preserved in Shem writings, we find the same truth. The Hebrew phrase still affirms the field is this world. So this shows that across languages, cultures, and centuries, early readers understood this same key. See, when we see the field as the world, our understanding begins to change. See, we can't confine God's work to a building or a nation or a single culture. See, the kingdom seeds are planted in every heart that will receive them. And the yeast is working in every place where God's Spirit moves. And just as Jesus taught, there will be a day of harvest when the sorting happens and the kingdom is fully revealed. See, so Jesus' 7 parables are not something random. They are one sweeping vision of the kingdom of heaven. And the field is the world. The kingdom is here. And we are all invited, not just to observe, but to be part of it. So, when I reflect on what part of the field I am standing in and look around, what do I see? Well, some 2,000 years ago, when this rabbi from Nazareth taught these parables, his disciples asked him a question. So let's turn to verses 10 through to 13. Then the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Why do you speak to the people in parables?" And he replied, "The knowledge of the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven has been given to you, but not to them. See, whoever has will be given more, and he will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what he has will be taken away from him. And that is why I speak to them in parables. See, though seeing, they do not see. Though hearing, they do not hear or understand." You will note he was pointing them to the different ways the hearts of people were receiving the message. See, the many weren't seeing the field the way Jesus saw it. See, they were comfortably ensconced in their own little fields, the groups or subdivisions of the nation. You know, the Pharisees, the Sadducees, the Essenes, or whatever else. They only saw themselves in their own little field as the sons of the kingdom when the harvesters arrived. So, what about today? Look around. What do you see? Well, all I see are little fields, each one viewing themselves as the sons of the kingdom. Yes, it is religion, and more religion. And even in many of those religions, if not most, there are even smaller fields or subgroups. See, some of these little fields are so vehement in their stance that they are prepared to cut off or isolate even family members who no longer wish to be part of that little field, but instead listen the way our rabbi from Nazareth is directing us to live our lives. However, we need to remember what the first job of the harvester was. Let us return to verse 30, where Jesus says, "Let both grow together until the harvest. And at that time, I will tell the harvesters, first, collect the weeds and tie them in bundles to be burned. Then gather the wheat into my barn." Notice, please, are the wheat gathered into bundles? No, only the weeds. So, a question to consider. How can I scramble myself out of a bundle that I may be in and onto the way of the wheat? How? Well, we hopefully in the forthcoming videos will try and understand more clearly the mind of our rabbi from Nazareth, Jesus. Please look out for the next video where we will show just one strand of how Jesus began to fulfill his claim in his famous Sermon on the Mount, which we read in Matthew 5 and verses 17 and 18. So look out for that. And until the next time, thank you for watching.